This is a Headgum original.
Vroom vroom! Beep beep! Welcome to the pit wall.
We're back,
I'm your
baby.
podcast principal, Casey Donahue. I'm joined by Marika Brownlee, who is she?
I didn't come up with a name. I'll do it for next week.
Andrew Pile.
I was going with pile up. That's not really like a racing term.
The dial-up sound,
Andrew
but
Pile
you
Up.
were imitating it.
Geoffrey James.
Hi, I'm Geoffrey Nicholas No Points Latifi James.
In 21st place, if you can imagine. Can't even be in dead last.
The only driver with no points. And this was his chance.
And Jake Hurwitz.
I have no Jakes. That's what I did last time?
That's pretty good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holds up.
Thanks.
Welcome to the Pit Wall, a F1 podcast for casual fans. Today we're talking about the Singapore Grand Prix. But before we get into that, how are you guys doing? It's been a few weeks since we've had a race. What have you been up to?
We went racing.
That is something we've been
did.
up to.
We went to K1 in Burbank, and I'm sorry to say, but I was overtaking Marika hither than thither, on the inside, on the outside, Crashed into her twice, and her helmet did almost fall off.
Contact.
Yeah. I should say Geoff overtook me at the finish line, which was devastating. It was his second overtake of me. Casey had already done 2 overtakes of
So
me.
they each lapped you twice?
Mm-hmm.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
However, I cooked up a conspiracy that I think K1, specifically the guy running the track, slowed down my car during the first race. I assume because I'm a woman. I have no other idea why it would have happened, because it was at the start of the race, as opposed to I crashed and then he was like, we're just gonna turn that down for a bit.
Well, he also was shooting off brown flares, so I think he was a fan of mine.
What?
Your fans carry around brown flares.
Yeah, it's
Why
like
brown?
Verstappen with
So
the orange.
gross,
It's
I
brown,
know.
Because,
Because
so.
Brown is the
Right.
grossest flare color I can imagine.
I mean, it would just look like smoke.
Yeah, it's smog.
Yeah, well,
Smog. Exhaust.
we were in Burbank.
Exhaust poppers.
That would be cool, dark black.
Yeah, I believe they slowed down Marika's kart. I've got my own beef with K1 speed.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Well, let's listen to Geoff's prediction for the Singapore Grand Prix, and then we'll get into it a little more. Here's Geoff's pre-race prediction.
Geoffrey James here with my Singapore Grand Prix predictions. Let's talk about it. Today's going to be the day of DNFs. The following people will not finish the race.
Wow.
Latifi, obviously. Daniel Ricciardo is going to not finish. I hate to say it, but I do think that he knows his F1 tenure is almost up, and I think he's sad about it, and his heart is not in it anymore. Zhou Guanyu, going to be a little too trigger happy, too on the offensive, and he's going to go the way of Marika every time she go-karts. Into the wall. Let's go into some positives. I think there's going to be a double Ferrari podium. I think it's going to go Charles Leclerc in first, Lewis Hamilton in second, and Carlos Sainz in third. And I think Red Bull does not podium, and that's going to be a good day for us. I also think that our boy Casey is going to, I want to say, podium at the Burbank Grand Prix tonight. So good luck, Casey.
Geoff,
That was 50% correct, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's really
remembered
accurate.
it being 80% correct, so I actually am disappointed right now.
All right.
Yeah, so yesterday was the October Burbank Grand Prix at K1 speed in Burbank. And They refused to let me drive. They would not let me race.
And what was the reason that you were given?
They said you need to have a specific fastest lap time of 25.4 seconds. And I had that. I did that in September 1st. I pulled up the records. And then they started having a little bit of a hissy fit because I was like, look, I did the time that you said. And they're like, well, it has to be in the last month. I was like, it was September 1st. They're like, yeah, but it's October 2nd. So they just refused to let me drive. They only let 8 people
did it have
drive.
to be in the last month or within the last 30 days? Because the last month...
They were making this up on the fly. It was very clear.
Why were they making it up, though? Did they just not like you? Like, what was their...
Well, you were wearing, like, we should say, like, a MAGA hat and...
Well, I think they would have loved that, honestly.
Yeah.
Look, I've been thinking about it all night long.
I did not
Why
sleep.
won't they let me race? And I think it is. I'm new to it. I'm an outsider. I think all the 8 guys that they let race have been doing it all year on the track. So my only theory is they didn't want anyone new on the track.
There's some hazing going on.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. I think they're afraid of you.
That's also what I think. I think once I showed them my time, they were
And
like,
your
we can't
helmet.
let this guy on the track.
Did you watch the Grand Prix? Did you see who did finish first?
I stayed and watched the first quali because I wanted to see, well, how good are these guys?
And how good are they?
Well, my fastest time that they refused to acknowledge was a full second faster than all of them.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That is
now
very
I have a
interesting.
conundrum. Do I give up? Do I just
No.
say, fuck these guys
and go to Torrance.
and go try to torrent? Or do I go back, race again, get another lap that meets their time that they made up, and I keep the little sheet that they give you, and I bring it back the next Grand Prix, and I was like, here's the time, here's the
It's
date.
that one.
Let me
Do that.
race.
Let this energize you. If you're a true competitor, this will only be that chip on your shoulder that you need to drive, to survive,
Yes.
as they say. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing because up until this point, it's just been fun going to the go-kart place, driving, just getting my friends to
We're
come
not
along.
having a good time anymore.
Now it's
That's
not
not
fun.
why we do it.
Yeah.
Now the people who, control the race are telling me I can't race because of rules that they're just kind of making up. And I really felt like I was going through what the F1 guys go through, where they're constantly like, the FIA, no. And now here I am going,
stewards.
K1, no.
This is your
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi.
You finally know how Lewis Hamilton feels.
Finally. And the next Grand Prix isn't until November 6th. We've got some time. I'll stew on it, but I think I'll be back because I think I really need to show these guys what they're missing.
I mean, starting in a few days, that's when you should start getting that fastest lap time, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking next week I want to make sure I'm in their
That zone.
made up parameters of what a month is.
Are you? Is there a cash prize? Because racing is not cheap there.
Racing is not cheap, but it is the cheapest way to race is by going to this place.
True.
And I'll tell you, the prize at the end of the year is nothing. There's no prize.
There's not
Do you
even
have
like
to pay to enter the Grand Prix?
You got to pay to enter every Grand Prix. And I was there like, I want to pay
I want to give
and
you
race.
money.
And they're like, no,
That's
just
insane.
these
they
eight
only-
guys.
It's only 8 at a time.
No, sometimes I do more. Sometimes they'll break it up into different groups, and then they'll separate people by their times. So like a fast group and a slow group. And there's nowhere on their website or they also don't have any rules posted. There's nothing posted about like you have to hit a specific time to be able to enter the Grand Prix. So it was a very frustrating night at the go-kart track. I was devastated, but now I think I got a fire, and I think I got to go back and I got to beat those.
If go-karting was fun, everyone would do it.
Exactly. Exactly. So, the Singapore Grand Prix. I thought that was a crazy race, guys.
Yeah, that was a wild one. It was wet and wild, actually.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate description for the whole weekend.
I thought it was crazy, but I'm also like trying to go back and think about it. I'm just like, none of this was memorable. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's because there's not a lot of like overtaking. It's just a lot of guys going slow and
into
losing control of
walls,
their cars and not finishing.
yeah,
But
which is
it's
fun.
it's a crazier race to like look at the outcome and than it was to actually watch. I think it was also that's married to my my deep desire for Carlos Sainz to do well, and having him just be like 20 seconds behind the leaders. It basically made the entire race not that fun for me
It
to
was
watch.
devastating to watch.
But
I mean-
ultimately, there's some pretty fun moments of this race.
I did think there was stuff happening every few minutes, which I loved. Like there was, whether it was someone going into the wall or George Russell trying to figure out what tires he should be on. Like there was something happening. There wasn't like a stretch of like 45 minutes where it's like, okay, now we're gonna wait till Carlos pits and we'll see if he can make up any time or something. It was just like every few minutes something new was happening, which I thought was very entertaining.
Also all of the late pit stop, like I don't think anybody pitted before like 30 or 31 laps.
Yeah.
So like that also made the race feel a little boring up top.
Yeah, I think maybe someone that it might have been Lewis, someone that went into the wall pretty early on, but like was still okay. Ended up pitting,
Yes.
I think.
That was
with
Lewis.
just for more inters.
And a
then
new
George
nose
was the
but yeah.
first one.
I mean, if we're gonna be sloppy.
Yeah, wait, it wasn't Lewis didn't pit for a new nose. It was somebody else that got the new nose.
No, he got a new nose.
Lewis got
But
a
they
new
also
nose?
would have put on
Yeah.
new tires for him.
No,
Well,
wait.
they made Magnuson pit.
Alban's wing was lodged into the wall. I took notes.
That-
So I have
but
notes
that
about
was
the whole race.
Wait, but that one, he was out after that. They couldn't fix it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wait,
you know
didn't
what?
somebody else like clip their wing and had to go in and got the like?
Lewis clipped his wing.
Oh, that's who had their wing falling off. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had his
it's
wing
like
falling
there's
off.
so much damage.
I think
in
you're
this
right, though. I
race.
think Magnuson did also.
I thought he did too.
I think Lewis's wing was fine. Magnuson's was like he got a black and orange flag and had to go in. But Max, as soon as he saw Lewis's wing, was like, he's gonna have to get that checked out.
Oh yeah, they're such little shits.
Speaking
Tattling
of
on
the
each
little
other.
shits, let's go down this grid. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 DNFs.
Was I
in this
right or
race.
was I right?
You were right.
It was
That's
the
crazy.
day of DNF.
You said it was a
called a
big
lot
race
of
for
them.
did not finish, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you also did call 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, Geoff, for that prediction, I'm curious. Were you aware of the weather situation in Singapore?
No, I didn't do any work until I did I did my prediction, and then I watched the race. And as the race kept going on, well, first of all, I saw it was raining, and I was like, I might be right. And then I think the first 2 to go out were Latifi and Zhou. So that's when
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Next time I should just, I don't know, predict exactly what I want to happen, because I can't help but feel like I'm some sort of mage in this regard.
Yeah, you should
Also,
bet money.
in regards to,
You also made this
rain.
prediction after the race
that's
already
true.
happened. You were watching a replay of it.
That's true, but I didn't read any news or anything.
Oh, I
I
believe
specifically had to stay off my phone. One of the first quotes of the broadcast, I just on the topic of rain, was Verstappen's always so strong in the wet. Not really, though, right? Or at least, like, we wouldn't know because he supposedly never had sex.
Yeah, according to him.
According to will.i.am, did you guys see the pit lane walk or whatever?
I didn't watch.
I did
the
see him,
walk.
but I think I missed the interview. What happened?
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, Martin ran into will.i.am and he was like, Lewis is the best racer out here. He's the best racer in the wet. He was just like kind of like gave like a nonsensical answer about how he's just the best. And I don't know. I was just like, oh, will.i.am. Interesting that you're here. All right.
It was.
Moving on.
He was also wearing.
Apple
They like
Diop
called
was
out
at
that he was.
Sizzlers this weekend.
They called out that he was wearing like an older Mercedes jacket or something. Like
Pretty cool.
It's like I've never seen you at one of these before. Why are
I think
you
him and Lewis are pretty close, I guess.
Yeah, classic. Someone I know was at the Singapore Grand Prix. I have not heard their race reactions though. I just got some content from qualifying.
Yeah, that was a cool video. It was neat to see the cars going by, not on a broadcast camera. Made me want to go to a race.
Gotta go.
Okay, on the grid, all those DNFs. First out was Zhou Guanyu, followed by Nicholas Latifi.
Caused by Nicholas Latifi.
And like immediate problems with those two. Like Latifi
Latifi's
caused
fault.
the crash.
He's so
Classic.
bad.
The note I have for Latifi for this race, all I wrote was depressing weekend DNF. I think he announced this week that he is no longer going to be under contract with Williams, and he doesn't have a seat next year, and all signs are pointing to he won't be in Formula One.
Love it.
He could barely drive an Amazon delivery truck. I don't know why he's allowed to race one of those vehicles.
That might be harder, actually.
I was watching the it was either practice or qualies, and they cut to Latifi complaining about his seatbelt. He's like, "I'm not comfortable. It doesn't fit. I can't drive around this track." And I was like, "Man,
There's something about his
It's not
voice
the
over the
seatbelt,
radio
man.
that's like, it's not grating, but it's like it makes sense for his performance. Like,
Yeah, you have to
Like,
hand
it's
it to
just
him. He
kinda
was right.
sad.
He said, "I can't drive around this track," and he actually nailed it.
That's true.
they should have
straight up
listened to him."
Yeah.
He tried to tell him. After Latifi, Fernando Alonso went into the wall.
that was sad.
That
just
was sad.
because
Did he go into the wall?
just-
Wait,
I don't think he went into
his
the
engine
wall.
No,
died.
his engine.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
his engine.
he
Yeah.
was
It's
up
been a
the
good
side.
race.
And it was
Well,
like, yeah.
350th race.
Yeah, they were like 350.
Insane.
Let's make it a special one.
Yeah,
That
he's
was
like
so
so
funny.
excited going into it.
He was also holding off Verstappen, right?
Yes, and I was
Yeah.
so,
So
happy.
that would have been
I was,
that would have
I was
been
like,
great.
fucking finally, he does it. When he's
Yeah.
in 8th place, this is all I ever wanted from you.
Yeah,
And then his car died.
yeah, that was sad.
That was like
Albon,
lap
He looked
14.
depressed.
Yeah.
Alex Albon was the next racer to not finish. He had his ling lodged into the wall. He tried to continue racing. He went into the pit, and they're like,
that one
"No."
didn't seem terribly sad because he was like, after that happened, he was basically in dead last, driving really slow. It's like,
Yeah.
you might as well
Yeah.
not finish. Let's
Yeah.
just call it, buddy. You just
they
got out of
did-
the hospital.
That was
You don't have to.
after.
Yeah,
That was after George had already switched to slicks, and so Alban would have been the second person to switch if his car was like still functioning.
Right.
And I saw them put those tires on, and I was like, "Oh God, what's gonna happen?" But then ultimately nothing did. Kind of shitty for him though, considering he almost died from appendix surgery.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
I didn't
insane.
realize it was that bad.
I feel like being on a ventilator and then DNFing in Singapore is fine. Like, He arguably shouldn't have been in the car.
Sure.
It feels like, crashing into a wall after being intubated is not
Maybe take some
what your
time.
body wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He deserves it. Not crashing, just like being healthy and fine.
I admire.
Seems like a nice lad.
I admire how bad he wanted to race by getting back into a car maybe earlier than he should have on what every driver says is the most punishing track.
Yeah.
I think that's badass of him. But I was happy to see that he didn't finish because I was like, this guy needs to go to bed.
Chill.
I think that's dumbass of him.
Esteban Ocon was the next driver to not finish.
In my notes just say Ocon into the wall and on fire.
My notes just says power unit.
Yeah, it didn't really register for me. Just another one in a long line of DNFs. I was like,
I think the
all
only
right.
substantial thing about his DNF was that it was like double DNF for Alpine, so McLaren had a good opportunity to get some points back in their little fight.
Yeah.
I feel like I have Ocon blindness. I never really notice or care where he finishes. There are like some drivers that I like hate, and there's others that I love, and Ocon is just like, Ocon is okay by me. I feel nothing, so I just don't. Yeah, don't care.
Well, Jake, what do you think about Yuki Tsunoda, who was the next driver to not finish?
You mean Dookie Poo? No, duh. I really don't like Dookie. I don't like Dookie very much.
I did actually gain a little respect for Yuki after he didn't finish, and he was like really upset about it. It's like good, because I was like, your whole thing is that you don't seem to care about anything that much other than like ruffles. So it was nice that this actually affected you. It should.
I kind of wanted to be angrier though. Like he pulled off his like harness and stuff, and like I was like, he looked like he was gonna smash him, but then he held back, and I was like, whatever. Like I always want the driver to like kick the car, like Verstappen did, whatever, a couple years ago, or whoever did that.
Beautiful.
A tiny little kick.
Vettel maybe did that.
Yeah.
But I just think that's such a funny image, like just total like, just like, I don't know. It's just so funny to just like kick an inanimate object and be like, "Damn you!"
Yeah.
And then smash like a piece of foam that costs like $30,000.
Also, I feel like there were a lot of virtual safety cars this race, but that was one of the few full safety cars. So that was nice that happened.
That was on my mind too. I mean, I don't think I have like a solve for it, but I really don't like a virtual safety car.
Yeah, they
I
suck.
also wouldn't have liked if there were, 4 full safety cars in this race.
Yeah.
But
I think I would have. It would have made it more interesting. Because
They should just leave the stuff on the track and keep going.
including the marshals.
Yeah, the marshal should get guns, and the car should be able to drive at full speed.
they should guard the debris.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do the marshals need the guns for?
To scare off the cars.
Pile's been upstate too long.
Everyone should have guns.
He's just standing on his road with a rifle, waiting for cars to go by.
Oh, go ahead, Marika.
I was just going to say, I think more safety cars is good because it brings the pack back together, and then that leads to some excitement with a restart, which I always love, as opposed to the weird Delta thing. And also that Delta situation, which was like the virtual safety car, you can only go at a certain Delta speed-wise, like during that. caused some of the safety car infringement allegations that happened to Checo.
Nasty allegations.
Wait, I thought those were the actual safety cars, not the virtual ones.
Really?
Because he,
I think
because he
there
was more than 10
one-
lengths behind, and then he like zoomed up, and then he like fell back again. Or,
He
I
started
don't know.
telling the safety car, like, go
Yeah,
that was-
faster.
He
That
yelled
was
at him a little
one
bit to-
thing.
That was
I
really
think there was
funny. He's like-
another. Oh,
Like he's
never
in
mind.
traffic.
I'm thinking of Max. That's what caused Max's Max to go off to the side when he was like trying to get in front of Lando, because like it looked like the safety car was over.
Right.
So they both kind of sped up, but it wasn't, and so they had to like quickly shift back to that speed, and then he flat spotted and stuff.
Yeah, and I think didn't Carlos like brake check Max at one point during a virtual safety car? That was fucking awesome.
Yeah. I think someone definitely was like, he brake checked me.
Yeah, that was nice.
I loved it.
Was it Max?
It might have
I think it
been
was
Lewis.
Max.
I don't think there was
it
a
was
point.
no, it was Lewis.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's so dangerous, man.
I liked at the
first-
beginning of the race. Wait, sorry, where Lewis also was like, I told you not to put me on these tires.
That was so
Listen to me.
funny and rude.
He did that at the end of the race. Also complained about the other tires that they put on. Like, he was not happy at any point with the tires he was on. And
I
like,
love the
I
line.
wanted
In
to make a
future,
point
you
of
need
letting
to
everyone
listen
know.
to me, man.
Yeah.
So good. Also during his last like post race show interviews, he was like, it's a pretty rubbish day, but I feel okay. Versus Max being like, for me there was no, he said there was 0% enjoyment, of course. So dramatic.
Yeah.
That's the heart of a champion.
A lion.
The first driver on our list, 14th, who finished the race, was lapped twice. George Russell.
Ooh, I love to see it. I love to see it.
Yeah.
I like George personally, as I've commended him for his personality. I know other people don't like him. I think he's a good lad, but my gosh, do I like to see him lose ground to Sainz in the driver standings. I believe they're near tied now. It's 202 to 203. Sainz is in fifth.
Yeah.
So he's close.
What did I say in that moment when George went to the pits? I predicted that he was going to change to slicks. I'm trying to find, I was like, big George Russell move.
Yeah.
Immediately changing tires.
Well, the crazy thing about that was like Carlos was like on the radio, like I think he's like, oh, it's time for slicks soon, and then like 10 laps go by, and then George Russell changes, and then like everyone's like, well, everyone's gonna be watching to see how this goes, and then like 15 laps go by.
Yeah.
Well, it was because he was losing sector times so much in the beginning when he had the slicks on, which was really like just
Carlos
watching
was
him
so
slip
that
and slide was so
every
good.
driver had like a different opinion about it, and Carlos was wrong by like half the race.
I think it was just Carlos.
like so good
I
he
think
didn't
Carlos
come
was
in.
just
I think he
yeah.
was just
Carlos was
desperate
just struggling
for-
on his
yeah.
tire. Yeah, I think he was basically saying what he wanted he wanted the track to be ready, but it wasn't.
Fair enough.
Because everyone else after that was like it's still wet, and then Russell switched and struggled.
Yeah,
So
because
he
I think it was
very
like
wrong.
I think Carlos would have been in a really bad position if he had switched
he would have been
to slicks early, but also like his inters were so worn. I think that was what was causing him problems. So like if he had to pit twice, then
Yeah, but I
Would've been over.
basically we'll talk about it when we get to Carlos, but I do think third was like the best possible outcome for him.
Yeah. But that moment when because George Russell, I actually respect the cojones on him.
That's what I'm saying.
To go for it. And then
I agree.
when they started realizing that his sector times were getting better, and there was like that moment where everyone was like, slicks, slicks, slicks. I thought that was I got goosebumps during that exact time. And I was like, this, because up until that point, I think the race was a box, and it might still be a box. We'll see. But I was like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. This is the part of the race, like you guys said, where there'd be 45 minutes of nothing. Yeah. And instead there's this cool moment.
I liked seeing George. He was the first one on the slicks, and that was something that, like, even though he's in last place, everybody's watching him to see how he does.
Yeah.
To determine how the rest of the race will go.
Yeah.
I also thought the move of just taking the fastest lap from Checo and like not even earning a point from it. I love that. That's what
that's good. I love a good spoiler.
Yeah, just like, well, fuck this guy. He's not getting a point. I like it.
Also, it's important to note that he said crikey on the radio, which
wrote
was
this
for
quote
me a
down.
big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, should we move on to Mick? Just so I can say this quote.
Yeah.
Let's. Where is he? He's make his 13th on the grid.
Schumacher's defending like the race of his life. Crikey.
Yeah.
He's not really. He's not. Like, you're driving bad.
It also,
car
like,
doesn't
it
work.
kind of is the race of his life. Every race is the race of his
really
life.
is.
Yeah.
There's 21 races all year. You have to beat everyone every time. Why would it just like, all right, well, hey, George is having a rough. We should let him pass me. He might pass other guys. Let's let George go.
I thought
And
that
the
was
commentators,
so
too,
funny.
were like, yeah, it's the race of his life. He's racing for his life. He's racing for his career. Like, he's not going to have a seat next year.
Yeah.
It's just really funny. It's like, you're like, why is this guy racing so hard? Like, what is this, a race?
It's also it's like that, and it's so funny to me when people complain about losing time behind slower cars, like Hamilton continuously complaining that he couldn't get past Carlos, and it's like, okay, well, pass him then.
Yeah.
Like, I understand
if he's
the
holding you
concept
up,
of,
if
like,
you're a lot faster.
That's what's hard about racing.
Yeah. It really only works when the driver is on your team. You can complain about your teammate letting you through, but if it's somebody else, like, they just don't want you to beat them, right?
Yeah. And it's like, I get conceptually why being behind a slower car is hard if you, in theory, can go faster, and it's like a hard track to pass on just because of like dirty air and stuff. But it's just as a radio message, so funny to be like, this guy's so slow. It's like, you can do something about that.
I get the complaint. The thing that I noticed watching the race was, no matter what tire anybody was on, everybody around every corner was like, had a little bit of a tail wag going on.
Yeah.
So
quick adjustments.
Even if the conditions were better, you might have been able to overtake Sainz. And I think he was frustrated that the conditions were the way they were.
Yeah.
So like, even though
And
he
that
knew
they
like I
didn't-
can pass him, but if I do, I'll probably end up in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he did.
And, his tires, he super did.
Next on the grid, in 12th, Kevin Magnuson.
I really wanted him to be in the points.
Yeah.
I'm happy he's back in Formula One, but I actually couldn't give much of a shit.
I feel like there was a minute when you were like, Haas is on the ascendancy, and it's just like that is completely petered out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of at the same time that we thought Ferrari was going to win. It was like Ferrari's going to win, and Haas is going to be like competing with McLaren. And it's like, all right, actually, Ferrari's still fine, and Haas is still bad.
Kevin Magnuson, he went off the track on the first lap of the race, was able to recover. He went down 9 spots because of that. And I like that he finished the race.
Me too.
The fact that he went off track on this track where so many people didn't finish, he ended up finishing. I think it's like kind of a cool, went through the gauntlet, didn't get any points, but at least I finished sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think
maybe
it's Sorry, go ahead, Jake.
maybe K-Mag like low key shouldn't be driving for Haas. Maybe he's like better at driving. That's possible.
Where would you like to see him?
Alpine.
I could
Fun
see
choice. Yeah.
For sure.
Then he's at least like in the points every week.
it. What do you think, Geoff?
I think it would be a good move for him. It just depends on what the team wants to do.
He's not wrong.
Geoff should be a team principal, maybe?
So, no, I want to be Zach Brown, where you're like the head of shit and you make decisions, but you don't actually know much.
Yeah, his title is CEO, I think.
And then there's a different team principal that's never talked about or two.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach
Andrea
Brown is more
Seidel.
of just like a people manager.
Yeah. He knows people.
I was gonna say this is kind of like unrelated, but I think it's really impressive how, I mean, Max did this at least maybe Gasly did it, but like when you go off on those side roads and you're just like off the track, but you're not into the wall, and do the like quick spin is
Yeah.
like the coolest move, and all these drivers seem to know how to do that. I think that's so awesome when that happens.
Yeah.
Just kind of a weird
Did
sideshow thing
Vettel
that you're
do
like,
it?
oh, maybe. I don't know. It's like, who else went off? It's like impossible to keep track of who even went off the track
I
at
feel
all.
like at least half
Max
the grid
did it.
went off the track.
Max definitely
Max
did.
did it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
remember
what
the
I
other
like about
lockups.
that little trick is it is
I
a
think
fun
Vettel
little
did it.
trick, but they're all mad that they have to do it.
They're so angry.
Yeah.
I was so happy the moment Max went off the track. I really wanted a DNF for that
Yeah.
fucker.
I was thrilled.
I think everyone watching the race would have found it very exciting if he didn't finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was happy when Lewis went off too, just because it gave Sainz a little room.
Yeah.
Next on the grid, we have Valtteri Bottas.
Sad for
Not
him.
much to
No
say, I
idea
feel
what he
like.
was doing this entire
Yeah.
race.
He hasn't had a good few weeks. I mean, like bad qualities, bad racing. And he had a much stronger start the first half of the year. And I love Valtteri.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's Haas again, where it's just like, I guess things are maybe just more chaotic. So like people were just finishing like way out of position or whatever. But yeah, it seems like he's just like really flatlined too in the whole second
Especially
half of the season.
compared to Zhou Guanyu, who's like
Yeah.
doing really well in his rookie season.
Yeah.
The only note I wrote down for Bottas was he defended well against Russell, and I don't know when that happened or what I was watching when I wrote that
Like it was
down.
the race of his life. Crikey.
Oh yeah, there was that accident a couple years ago where they hit, and then I think
yeah.
Russell like walked over and like punched him in the head or something, like while he was
Yeah.
still in the car. Very strange energy from Russell. He's like all over the map. You're like, sometimes he's jumping out of his car to go help somebody. Other times he's going to punch them in the head. It's like,
I actually like Russell a lot. I think he's great.
The
You
issue
really
is he
turned the
doesn't
corner
know,
on this recording, Jake.
he doesn't know who he is. Like he doesn't.
He just wants to be. He wants
He's
to be
a blank
hero.
canvas
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Toto Wolff to shape and mold.
I liked him
Yes.
better when he
He
was on
wants to
Williams. He was just like an utter loser.
just the British fancy boy.
Yeah.
10th on the grid, Pierre Gasly.
Oh, Pierre.
What's the deal?
I
though?
also
Is
don't
he
know what he
moving?
was up to. People think he will be moving, especially in like the post-show stuff they were talking about. He'll
Right.
probably be moving to Alpine.
Yeah.
And what will that mean for the two enemies,
Who will be the number
Esteban
one driver?
Ocon and Pierre Gasly?
My Pierre Gasly note for the race, I just wrote, he hung in there.
Drove car.
Sure did.
Drove that car.
He really did.
He finished the race.
I honestly thought he didn't finish. Now that I was like, he was on my list. I was like, there were 6 people. I really thought he was one of them.
Next up, Lewis Hamilton in 9th.
I thought he was
race.
the most fun to watch.
You thought he was the most fun to watch during the race?
Yeah. I thought it was like,
I agree.
because he
Yeah.
was
He's one
like
of the main
really
characters.
Yes, he was in it. Also, it's like Mercedes is like reformulated stuff finally. It's like the car's finally like performing, I guess, the way they want. It's like they're, I don't know. I feel like Lewis is like, I kind of want to root for him again. And then like, and then he crashed into the wall or whatever, but he stayed in. I don't know. It's fun. I think it was fun watching him.
I agree. I also felt like excited at the beginning just because his qualifying time was like so close. Like all of those top three were like within a tenth of a second or something crazy like that. And so I had high hopes that were dashed over time.
Your high hopes ended up as die nopes.
That's
Nice.
really good.
That was really good.
Well,
I feel like I had something else to say about Lewis, but who knows? Maybe we covered it all. I just thought it was
fun to
funny.
watch him like. It was fun to watch him defend or like him battle with Max. I think that was like my
that, like,
takeaway.
The Vettel,
Yeah.
him and Max stuff was good.
Yeah. It's funny that it's happening like 7, 8, 9. It like feels like something that would be 1, 2, 3, but I'll watch it anywhere.
Yeah.
Again, another exciting part of this race that you guys seem to not like. But
I gotta say,
there's
I was incredibly
three world
hungover.
champions that were all
Yeah,
neck
that
and neck.
part was
for
Yeah, it was
pole.
awesome.
Yeah.
The
I
battle
love that
for
part.
7th between 3 former champions.
And it was like, I think it kind of happened right after a pit stop where like Max got in right behind Lewis or something like that. And I was like, yes, this is what I wanted.
Eighth on the grid, Sebastian Vettel, who we're talking about, and I think the highlight of him in that race for me was those three guys going at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low light
Love
that Max comes out victorious. That's kind
For
of
sure.
Yeah.
But, great day for Aston Martin. Double points. Great drive
Yeah.
from Vettel. He, made up so many places.
Yeah, even better drive from someone else we'll get to.
Well,
Seventh on the grid, Max Verstappen.
boo. Whatever.
What a crazy day. What a wild day he had. He got knocked around a bunch. That's
Yeah.
fun to see.
Zero
Such a bad
enjoyment.
start. That was
So,
awesome.
The
Stalled,
anti-stall ruled.
Ooh.
That was awesome. I went
that was
back to
crazy.
watch the beginning because I went back to sleep during the rain delay and muted my TV, and then I woke up 5 laps into the race. So had a great time looking at that from different angles. It was-
I think it's always a fun day when Max Verstappen is not on the podium. He
Yeah.
started.
So much hate on this show for Matt.
But here's the thing. I'm not going to say he
it's
sucks.
like-
I think he is currently the best driver in the
he
world.
is a,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
And he's
it's
so
like-
far ahead of everybody else that
He's just
we
funny
need
to
the
make
drama.
fun of. Yeah,
It's true. It's true.
I need someone.
he seemed very mortal this race, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was great.
I like Max more than I like Checo. Max is a
Yeah.
fun. He's like a quote unquote villain because I am not terribly mad when he does. I don't know. When I see him race well, I think it's good. I'm bored when I see him beat everyone by 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That's not fun. So it's easy to be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
But when he's in the middle of the field, just
But
like
it's-
picking people off, it's cool.
It's also funny to hear from older F1 fans that are like, this is how we felt about Lewis and this is how we felt about Vettel, maybe, I don't know, someone else. But it's like, I don't know, at least Lewis is nicer.
Yeah, Lewis is an awesome
yeah,
guy.
that's boring, but also he's a better
much
person.
older. He's grown
and I
up.
know that he was definitely kind of a little shit back in the day for sure. But overall, still just personality wise, he's a little better.
Yeah.
I think Max has a nice, funny personality though.
I think I watched interviews with him and like him and Checo playing games on their channel. And I think they're funny.
Look, if
I think it's
Max,
more about Christian Horner for me. I like that's
sure.
I hate Red Bull more because of that shit.
But I don't like Christian Horner, but I do because of that. Like I like both Max and Christian Horner for their villain era moments. Like that's what I get out of them, and I need them to continue with.
I'd agree with that because every time I watch an interview with Max post race and he's like kind of humble or like kind of really focused, like, well, next race I'm already focusing on. Like I always want him to like say something kind of catty or whatever, and then
today,
yeah. But when he doesn't, I'm always like, oh. Like I'm watching an interview because I'm like, give me something fun.
I mean, his message. I don't know if any of you watched qualifying, but like during qualifying, they made him pit on his flying lap where he probably would have gotten pole because of fuel. And he was so mad.
Yes.
And I liked
that was cool to hear him fired up. Yeah, I like that.
I was like, missed this. But then also, it was just so funny the way like both his engineer and Christian came over the radio and were like, we'll talk about this when you're out of the car. It's like...
We'll talk about this when you've cooled down.
Yeah, when you get home.
When you've had time to think.
So I loved that. And also just, it was like that... His interviews after that were basically just like, I just don't have much to say because he was like clearly still mad at them, even though it was a problem. It's great.
Do you guys think Max himself thought he could win the championship this race?
Yeah.
Do you think that was like in his mind at all?
Yeah. I don't think he has never thought that.
But it was...
Even starting 8th,
it was a long shot.
Was it 8th or 9th?
Yeah, I mean, even before, they wouldn't let him finish his flying lap, and he was stuck. He did start 8th, and he finished 7th, so he only gained 1 spot throughout that whole race. But it was such a long shot. He needed so many other things to happen with other drivers for him to clear the amount of points to win. So I felt like maybe he wasn't thinking like, well, I'm going to win the championship today.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe is the kind of guy who is like, if there's a chance I can win the championship today, I will win the championship today.
I feel like to me that's what his personality reads as, but I do like there were so many other variables that would have had to happen. But I feel like if he had had an opportunity to like, I don't know, like if he had an opportunity to take someone out that would have led to him winning,
sure,
I could see him doing that in a slightly shady, not totally illegal way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 on the grid, Lance Stroll.
Great
Tremendous
day for Aston
performance.
Martin.
Stroll trolls, stand up. 8 points for your king. Come on.
I saw a post-race interview with him where he was just absolutely drenched, like how Checo had kept pouring water all over his head, but he looked 10 times worse. His hair was like spiked up.
That's what happens when you push flat out like that, when you give it your all. I think they're also soaked because they're getting covered in spray from the cars, right? That's not just sweat.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this
They were
was
on a
like
log
he poured
flume.
water on himself, but he just like looked like a little drowned rat afterwards, as opposed to like Checo kind of looking okay.
Careful how you talk about Lance around me.
No one insults the troll.
I did watch his post race interview, and he seemed real happy. And I noticed the interviewer mentioned, like, it was at the end of the interview, and she was just signing off with him, and was like, when I saw the weather and I saw it was going to be wet, I knew Lance was gonna be happy about it and he was gonna have a good day.
Hell yeah. Dude, I mean, Hamilton couldn't fend off Max. Vettel couldn't do it, but Stroll knew how. Stroll kept him at bay.
Fifth on the grid, Daniel Ricciardo. What a finish
Very
for him.
Redemption song. No, this would not have happened if there weren't 6 people doing it.
Absolutely.
It was still incredible. Like, for him to get 5th was crazy.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah,
like
that was pretty crazy.
he got 5th pretty like I don't know, I looked up one moment and I was like, oh my god, how is he here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed how he got up that high, but he did. And he held on to it for a long
Well,
time.
he also, I think he was one of the few people that pitted for softs, which I think was helpful in the long run. I don't think he overtook.
Yeah, he went
anyone,
for it. So
but-
it was
Yeah,
a good
I didn't
race
see
for
any
him.
overtakes from him, but
Yeah.
I loved how excited he was at the end of it.
You thought he was excited.
Oh yeah, he seemed thrilled.
Are you serious? No, just because I listened to the radio message and truly have in my notes that he seemed like just, I don't know, like, so not defeated, but like kind of like snarkily, like, okay,
What did he say on the radio?
awesome.
I think I missed what he said on the radio.
His
He
engineer
said,
came
"Aye,
over.
mate, that was shite.
No.
Crikey.
Crikey, I can't believe how
That's
bad that
cool when
race
Jake
was."
does it.
He his engineer came over and he was like, truly was like, that's P5, you rule these streets. And he just said, nice guys. Like, just the tone of his voice was so depressed sounding.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll tell
like
you-
he eventually was like great job from everyone, like sorry, like I had something in my eye, sorry if it looked like I was losing control. And they were like, we never doubted you. When you crossed the line, I don't know if you heard, but the grandstand was chanting Aussie, 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 and he said, okay, awesome.
Yeah, dude, if I was on the radio with those treacherous backstabbers, I would probably not be that animated either.
Yeah.
We always believed in you. All right. Then why did
Not
you
always,
replace
right?
me,
It
guys?
was-
All right.
Yeah, it was just like he was
Did
so
you believe me when you were
done.
negotiating a contract behind my back thing? Guys? All right. Okay, bye.
Look, I think it could be both things happening. I think he was excited to finish 5th, and I think the guys on the radio who are like always believe in you, and he's like brushing him off is
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
like, he's like, fuck you guys, I did this.
Yeah,
on
there were
my
a lot
own.
of layers to that performance, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, but I think what made me think he was thrilled was, again, his post race interview. He was talking about like not going to go out and party. It's pretty late. You got another race next weekend, but I think we're going to celebrate, me and the boys in the garage. And I was like, that's cool. It seemed like he was like, me and my team, we're going to celebrate
That's good.
ourselves. So I was like,
I'm
okay,
happy. I
seems-
want to see him do well in like these final few races. 'Cause I feel like that, aside from like, you know, making it more likely that he gets a seat, I feel like confident Danny is going to want to stick around a lot more than a dejected
Yeah.
Danny. you
Yeah,
know?
that's what people were positing in the post-race show as well. They were like,
There you
he like, or just like he should take a year to like remember why he likes this sport and then come back happier, because he seems just like down, and if he stayed at a like bad team he would just be sad and depressed.
Yeah. Start karting again.
Can you
I hear they
imagine
could do
him?
it in Burbank as long as he gets a quali within the 30-day.
Yeah, you
It's
can go all
gotta
the
be
way
30
from
business days,
Briarcrest
just so you
Road
know.
in Beverly Hills to Burbank.
I was gonna ask. You know his exact address.
Of course.
I mean, I think he's just always bummed anytime he finishes behind Lando, which is every race.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of Lando, he came in fourth. Lando Norris.
Boo.
This is our reverse Stroll situation. So happy.
Why?
L4 Hive.
Ew.
What's his Twitch thing? Quadrant.
oh god,
Loser.
No, there were some really good radio messages on Lando's channel this race. Like his engineer was trying to get him to avoid a certain spot on the track, and so it would be like this, like one lap they'd be like, "Do what you did that last lap," and he's like, "I don't. All of them are the same to me. You're making me do the hokey pokey." She literally said, "Loved that."
Amazing.
But then at one point his engineer was like, "That lap was bad," and he was just like, okay, like I don't know what you want from me." But then at the end of the race he was like, "Wahoo!" and Daniel finished fifth. He was like really happy.
I do remember hearing someone go wahoo. Like
Yeah, he
specifically,
loves
that's what he
to
said.
go wahoo. It's so good.
Yoshi.
I mean, isn't Lando supposed to be like the best in the rain?
Yeah,
he did
he is
super
really
well last year.
I mean, granted,
Well,
he
yeah.
had some bad moments in the rain last season with
Right.
Sochi and with Spa, but
Yeah.
he is really good in the rain. I think he is good at making quick driving decisions and good at braking and stuff. I specified driving because his tire decisions are what cost him
Yeah.
the race.
Yeah.
But I had something else to say about Lando. I don't remember what it was. Never mind.
He's hot.
He's weird looking.
He broke up with his girlfriend over the past few weeks. So
I didn't realize that. I'm sorry to hear that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been so hard on him.
Yeah, you would.
Damn.
How are you holding up, Marika?
Well, he's holding up well. And
do
by
you know?
well, I mean he's learning how to DJ, I think. So, standard 22-year-old
that guy
breakup
just
behavior.
Broke up for sure.
Yeah.
What's his
so-
DJ
Has he
name?
been?
I don't know. Has he been what?
L4.
Has he been rebuffing your advances?
No, you guys have been. You were saying you've been DMing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
He said
No,
that he was going to
Lando's
put
a-
his whole Norrissi into.
Awful.
First on the podium.
Oh my god.
First on the podium, Carlos Sainz. Jake, you've been sliding into his DMs.
Yeah, how's that going?
Not great. Carlos has not responded, but none of my messages have been seen. What was the last one? Do you guys remember? Marika, I sent you a screenshot.
You
Oh,
did.
it was when he was learning to foil board or something. I wrote that it was awesome.
There's another one where he's on the boat with his dad, and it's a photo of him reflected in part of the veneer or whatever, or the wood, and you're like, this is so fucking sick.
I can't believe he hasn't fucking even seen it. And maybe, yeah, no, nothing.
One
I
day.
wrote that is sick.
I think you need to start publicly commenting because that'll
I think
throw
I-
you up high
Yeah.
because you're verified. We'll get the whole squad to like it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll start commenting on his posts.
Yeah. And let us know when you do so we can go in there and give
Yeah,
some likes.
we'll support. And then eventually, when you do become friends, you can try to break him up with his girlfriend, and that would be good for me personally. Just kidding. She
Carlos, I'm
seems
telling
very
you, as
cool.
your newest friend, that you cannot be with this loser, frankly.
She actually seems pretty cool, which sucks to read about in the Formula One newsletter that I read. Engine
She's
failure.
cute too. I like the way that she looks. She's like
She's like
she's like normal, like good looking,
Yeah.
not like a weird supermodel like everyone else seems to be dating.
yeah, like she's definitely like in the fashion world, but like she's wearing loafers and like
Yeah, totally.
jeans
Cool.
and a t-shirt, you know.
Yeah,
Money
Not
can't
accessible.
buy you class, and the Signs family has it,
Yeah,
and cash,
Yeah.
and now
And great dogs.
Gash.
no, Jeff.
Sorry.
So Carlos
Jesus.
Oh yeah,
Damn
was
it.
on the podium.
Didn't have the
feel like-
confidence, didn't have the pace.
You know, I feel like his race was like he was just fast enough to get ahead of all of the shit going on
Yeah.
behind him.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like particularly like, wow, he got another podium. It just seemed more like, ooh, he just kind of made sure he was
Thank
ahead of all the
God.
trash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he basically
It
got
was-
lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, not
I-
good at the start to get in front of Hamilton, but like after that, it wasn't like he had a good race or a fast car. He
Yeah. He was just in
Yeah.
the right place.
It was
At
the right
interesting to see
pace.
how much slower his pace was than Charles.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
way
It was-
behind
It
him.
was depressing. I
Do you think that's the
rain,
rain, or do you think that Charles the better driver?
Yeah. And also I think their cars could be different at the moment. Like they're in the same sort of way that like I think Max's car, one of the like top teams has two wildly different setups right now. It might actually be Mercedes. But I think like probably because they're supporting Charles to like maybe win the championship, they've like done more to his car.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know anything. I'm just guessing.
That's
Casual
the
fans.
that's the pit wall promise.
Is that we don't know anything.
We don't know anything, and we won't research it.
I will, but I didn't have time.
If Marika researches something, she won't bring it up on the podcast.
No, I think I don't know. It is really frustrating to like every race see the two people immediately get ahead, and then like if Carlos is third, he's like just kind of stuck there. But I don't really know why he doesn't have the pace.
Yeah, I noticed, you know, with all the safety cars and virtual safety cars in this race, there were a couple times where they had to bunch up, but that didn't really affect anyone's position.
Yeah,
you
not
know,
with this
weather.
towards the front of the grid.
Yeah.
So he had his opportunities to catch up and maybe even get a higher spot on the podium, but. Yeah, I don't.
I thought it would happen when he pitted. I thought he just needed to get off the inter tires.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he did, and he didn't find that much more pace.
Yeah. He was really slow by the end, which was a bummer.
Yeah. In second place, Charles Leclerc.
My boy.
Felt like he was just, again, so far ahead of the treble, but too far behind Checo that he was just kind of on his own driving around.
He was putting pressure on Checo for a while, especially
there were some
towards
moments.
the
Very
end too.
Yeah. The
But
way
like,
the way it
yeah.
ended didn't feel as reflective for how close it was at times.
Yeah.
And I'll also say that like ultimately the double Ferrari podium is really good, but just the way that watching that race, it didn't feel like a good day for Ferrari at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They didn't even seem happy on the podium.
No, I was gonna say the three of them was the least happy podium I think I've seen
Yeah.
all season. I mean, I think
Checo
they're all
doesn't
like
seem happy.
destroyed from the
Yeah,
race, but like,
Yeah.
could
Checo
be
in general is
exhaustion.
not super emotional unless he's like winning the Mexico GP. But yeah, and the other thing about Charles was just like when he was behind Checo, it was like every turn, like his car would get squirrely, and you're like, there's just no way he's going to get past him with the way that like his car is driving in the rain. Whereas Checo just looked like he was like in a steamroller. It was like flat and anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of Checo, Sergio Perez, first place.
You hate to see it, folks.
I'll if Red Bull is going to get on the podium, Checo over Max. I think I'm into that.
Yeah.
But
That was only his fourth win.
Only his fourth win
Dead silence.
ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes.
I guess that makes sense when you think about last year, but
Yeah.
he was just on the podium like every race last year too. Yeah. It was a really like pretty dominant race.
Yeah.
What did Christian Horner say on the radio when Checo won? Was it like "Vamos Checo"? Like I just remember
Vamos,
distinct-
Checo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember distinctly hearing Christian Horner try to speak Spanish and be like, "Oh, that was so fucking cringy, you loser." That was the first time you talked to Checo in a month.
Yeah, that's
They were like, the classic mega drive, best drive of his career sort of language being thrown about afterwards. Also, I think there was a radio message to Checo from his engineer towards the end of the race where they were just like, it was to tell him about the safety car infringement. And the engineer was like, let's disappear.
Yes.
So dramatic. Like,
That's one of the quotes I wrote down. I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that was the very thing that made
badass.
the race.
Yeah.
It made the race very fun to be like, all right, well, he needs to beat Charles by 5 seconds now.
Yeah,
Like,
but
so
then
Yeah,
Ferrari was
that was
pushing for a
impressive.
double 5-second penalty. Like, the fact that they couldn't figure that out before the end of the race is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And the fact that Charles couldn't just get it within fucking 4, like,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
had been there.
Yeah.
he was there till like the last 2 laps. I was like, they would have.
I think
But he only got
something-
2.5 seconds, right?
He got a 5
Yeah.
second penalty.
Yeah, there was
So
yeah.
Charles would have won.
No.
If he had kept it within 5 seconds.
Which he
Yeah,
was like, he was only.
didn't.
Yeah.
I know he
Yeah,
didn't.
no, he was
but
outside
he
of
was
five.
like 3 laps out of the end. He was like 3.5 seconds behind. And then like 2 laps before that, he was right behind Checo. I don't know what happened from then
I
to
think
then.
something did happen to his car. Like he didn't like spin out or anything, but I think like on a turn he like went too wide or something at one
Yeah,
point.
Yeah, he had
He
like
was-
some bad turn.
Talking about how he was feeling like he was losing control a little bit, which made it feel like Charles was going to catch him, but
Yeah.
he didn't.
He didn't, he won. The shot of both of Charles and Checo just sitting on the ground by waiting for their interviews was so funny. They had to pause Checo's interview for like 10 seconds because he was sitting on the ground.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this in the
gotta-
chat, but in the cool down room, both Checo and Charles were like soaking wet and like pouring bottles of water
Yeah.
on their head and like not being able to have a conversation. And then Carlos was just like sitting on the side, like fully zipped up in his like flame suit still and just like
Yeah.
not drinking water and like looking angrily. It was so funny.
I can't
you were like
imagine
he's
the
used to the-
operator.
how truly punishing it must be to drive that race
Oh my God.
in those conditions. It was brutal
after
to
our
watch.
2-race 24 lap go
Oh my
karting
God.
experience.
Yeah.
You guys are sweating.
Dude, my
Yeah,
fucking arms were sore. I had bruises on my hips.
Yeah.
Like literally, you could see the dark spots on both hips.
Wow.
It's,
Yeah, and I think
Yeah, that
this race has like 24 turns or something crazy like that. It was like a lot of turns, and they did 59 laps. It's fucking insane.
yeah, that track doesn't look like any other Formula One track that I can tell.
I think
looks,
it's got cool features. I love
Yeah, I
that
like
it's
it.
under
That
an
cool laser
active
thing.
overpass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
it looks like a random, like an unlocked level in a video game or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the people driving past. I don't know what time was it in Singapore.
It was basically Eastern time reversed, whatever that was. So like,
So 5 p.m.
No, it was like 10 p.m.
no,
Oh,
it was like 8 p.m. I think, and then the race started at 9:05.
okay. Because everybody on the freeways made me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, anytime they had like a helicopter shot and you see them going on the freeway and you see the cars driving around, I was thinking like, how big is Formula One in Singapore? Are the people driving over like aware or care that the race is happening right under them? Because you drive by like a football stadium or a baseball stadium, and if you don't care about the sport and there's a game going on, it's just like, okay, oh yeah, that's the World Series is happening right over there.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably the same, right? Or unless it's, I don't know, unless it's like such a big moment because it hasn't been there since like 2018 or whatever.
Oh yeah, I bet it's big. Let's go ahead and say it's huge.
Okay, yeah.
Should we go
There were
next year?
300,000 people there. It was the biggest one
Yeah.
yet for there.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Since we're talking about the race, why don't we rate it? The way we rate races here on the pit wall is if we like the race, we give it a push. If we don't like the race, we give it a box. I'll go ahead and say I liked this race. Like I said, there was action every few minutes, kept my attention, a lot of drama. So for that, I got to give it a push.
I'll say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marika.
I'm going to give it a box. Because I didn't like that it was rain delayed. I woke up early and then I fell back asleep. And I just barely remember the details outside of what I wrote down in my notes while watching the race. And like Jake said, I felt like even though double Ferrari podium, love to see it. It didn't feel good or earned in any way.
Yeah, I feel like. Oh, sorry.
No, that was all.
I feel like it was a box in terms of me watching Carlos Sainz, which is kind of my first reason for watching Formula One. But after that, I do think it was a push. So I'll give it a push box if I'm being completely fair.
The first ever on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it was basically good and bad. I mentioned this, but I was incredibly hungover. It was Mike Carnell's birthday on Saturday night, so I was grateful for the rain delay. That helped a little bit.
So you're giving it what happened in I don't remember which race it was earlier this season, but when they had Ferrari try and pit both guys at the same time, realized they screwed up. They told them to box, but it should have just been a push.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
I'll give it a. I don't know. It's like a lot of races end, and I'm like, I kind of wish that race was longer. And then this one happened, and I'm like, I really wish this race was shorter. It was just like, yeah, I woke up, I was up already, but like, yeah, there was just like an hour rain delay, and then it was just like 2 hours, and there were like safety cars and spin outs, and I'm like, there was a lot of action, but yeah, I don't know, it was almost too much. I feel like there's no perfect race, but like, oh man, this one was like a slog. But
the thing I was going to add to mine was that there were too many virtual safety cars, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, I guess I'll give it a push though.
You talked yourself out of it.
I mean, I don't know. It was entertaining. It had its moments.
I'm gonna give it a box.
Yeah.
I think it was technically interesting. Like the commentators almost convinced, because I wrote down box on lap 27. I was like, this is a shit show circus farce, and it's
not a real sport. Which is true.
Like, I don't know. Like the commentators almost convinced me it was a push. I actually wrote down push, and I just changed it now because in hindsight and during, I didn't enjoy it. It was technically interesting. The storylines are good, but watching it was exhausting.
Yeah.
The two best moments were when everybody was like, "Oh, and like George Russell's sector times, yeah." Like I said, like are like getting better. Everybody's going in for slicks. That was cool. And then when DRS came, when Charles was right behind Checo, was good. But
oh yeah, the DRS not being enabled was kind of bullshit.
Yeah. But then like the track, there's like no straights anyways, so it doesn't matter even if it was dry and DRS was there the whole time, it wouldn't have happened. And the best part, the most exciting things are like interesting overtakes and battles between drivers. And I think the things that were interesting here was tire management. So I don't know.
But I would say it wasn't even. It was in that one moment, but like
no, that's what I meant to say.
It was just like, when are they going to pit people? Like, when is stuff going to happen? It happens so late.
Yeah.
Well,
push box.
There you have it, folks. A push box for the Singapore Grand Prix. Let's move on to our next segment. Hottie of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Forgot
I
we
hate to
had
say
this.
it. Lando Norris for keeping Verstappen off the podium for the majority of the race. It's the only time I've ever looked upon Lando with fondness.
Well, for that reason, you have to give it to Stroll, who kept Verstappen.
He did not.
He didn't.
bay.
He was not
didn't do
defending at all.
anything.
They had a 2.5 second gap.
He defended a little bit against
Verstappen passed
or
Vettel on the
Verstappen,
last
as you
lap.
say.
Vettel was doing more of the work, but for the majority of the race, it was
Couldn't
Norris.
get around Stroll. By the way, Stroll
pay the
is
Stroll
hot
toll.
and rich. I don't know if you know that he's fucking loaded, but he actually
He's
has
not
a lot of
loaded.
cash.
His dad is loaded.
He has a trust fund that he got access to at 18. Believe that. Believe that. And that is his money because it was left to him in trust by his father. So don't say that's not his money. It is his money. It was given to him by his dad. His dad earned it, but he has it. Okay? So don't say it's not his money.
Jake, I think realistically, you could be friends with Lance Stroll.
Oh, 100%.
Like, that's what we should
that.
actually be aiming for.
I would love that.
Because
Being
there's
friends with
no
Stroll
way he
gives
hasn't
me
seen a Jake and
access
Amir
to
video.
signs.
You know that Canadian teen was watching Jake and Amir. It has
He
to
is
be
Canadian,
true.
which gives me a chance. It
Yeah.
gives me a strong chance.
It gives you a chance.
Maybe even Lando has seen a Jake and Amir video.
He's too young.
He's on the
he
internet,
is
though.
pretty
He's
young.
online.
He is on. Yeah, but he's
He is very online.
He's
If we could find confirmation somehow, I would love to know if Carlos Sainz has seen me. Sainz hasn't, but
we start
yeah.
tagging him in every if I were you TikTok that goes out.
The worst thing would be to find out if Latifi grew up watching Jake and Amir, and then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, they talk about you on the F1 podcast," and it's just me saying he shouldn't drive, he shouldn't be allowed to track.
I think I saw on Twitter that Bottas was a huge Goat Show fan.
Well, that'd be perfect because I've never said a bad thing about Bottas.
Holing up in his like Nordic cabin,
Listening
cracking
to
up
the
at
best
Micah talking
white
about
t-shirt.
Everlane.
Totally nude.
God damn, would I love to fucking review saunas with him.
I'm going to also say Lando Norris is the hottie of the week. Not for anything that he really did during the race, but I noticed in the opening signature before the race where they show all the drivers in studio, he does get the hottie shot. It's
Oh yeah,
he's leaning against the
like
wall.
profiled.
And he looks up, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Who gets the hottie shot? Lando, you said?
Lando gets the hottie shot.
I've noticed as well, like there are some drivers that look really hot in those things and some that look super dumb. Max, I think, looks the dumbest.
Yes.
And he's not the ugliest guy on there. But
Yeah.
they do this super wide shot where he has his hands in front of him and he's kind of smiling.
Yeah,
Looks
so bad.
so weird. It's a really bad fucking shot.
And it's
But
the
Landis is
last
hot.
one that they show because he's in first place. So it's like, and here he is, Max Verstappen, the best driver in the world. He's just like,
And he's like,
Hi guys.
thanks for
He
inviting
looks
me.
like the sidekick to an evil villain. He doesn't even look like the. I mean, I guess he is
Well, he
because
is.
Christian
Yeah.
Horner
Oh,
is
yeah.
the evil villain.
yeah.
he's the. I was gonna say he's the heavy, but I think Checo's the heavy. Checo's like
Yeah.
the guy that's going to go out brutalize.
He's silent,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
He's conniving. He's gonna stab Horner in the back someday.
Checo, fun fact, according to a video I watched, really loves to play pranks. Which
Well, what's his idea of a
shocking
prank?
to
Is
me.
it actually
Right.
fun, or is it like, oh, I put like a colored straw in your soup?
there was one video where they were like fishing for rubber ducks, and they had to do what was ever on the bottom of it, and one of them was like, call your team engineer and tell them you need toilet paper, and he pulled it off beautifully.
Amazing.
Maybe I do like Checo.
So that was the Hottie of the week. And finally, we have Little Bitch of the Day.
Yes,
or
the segment
other
name.
Says reluctantly.
Only one person complained, so I think it's
Did
fine.
we get any complaints after that? After
If
after
one
we
person
talked about what
complains
should we
on
call
the
it?
pilot, it should count for like 10,000 people complaining.
Really?
The segment it's 3 episodes old. It's universally adored at this point. It's baked into the show. It is weaved into the fabric of who we are. My little bitch of the day is. I actually don't know.
Mine's Max.
Mine's Max.
Because of that there was zero enjoyment line just made me laugh so hard. That's the prime example of little bitch behavior as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
That and him complaining in qualies about
Just
telling
constant
him
what
to
the
abandon
fucks.
his flying lap. He was really threw
There's-
a hissy fit.
Yeah, they were, and we hadn't had one in a while, and it was nice to hear it. Also, I didn't do my Hottie of the week. My Hottie of the week was George Russell going on
nice.
to the slicks first.
Yeah.
That's Hottie behavior for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Hottie of the week, George Russell for going on the slicks. Also, little bitch of the week for saying, "Crikey, why is this guy driving so fast?"
You can be both.
Schumacher's driving like
can
it's
be-
a race of his life.
Yeah. Oh, mine is Latifi for being in 21st place and taking out another driver. You really just.
He loves to do it, and we
Yeah.
love to see it.
I guess
My
I
little-
will miss him next year. He's an agent of chaos.
It was, well, yeah, I feel like he really kind of got away with it last year because Maz's spin was still there.
Yeah.
And he was the second agent of chaos. So now who knows who it's going to be.
Yeah.
My little bitch of the day is the streets of Singapore.
Why is that?
Why?
Because they didn't offer enough chances for Leclerc to overtake Checo. He could have done it from lap 7 left to 5 left. He was right behind him, and he had DRS, and he wasn't able to do it because of the city grid.
So it's the streets
I
in
would blame
particular.
the rain. I would
No,
blame
No,
the
it's
rain.
not
more
the
than-
rain. No, and Marika, I knew you
Leclerc
would
didn't
say
even
that.
have to. Oh, by the way, he didn't even have to overtake Checo. He just had to not lose to him by more than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So maybe Leclerc's the little bitch of the day because, don't lose by 7.5 seconds, and that's.
or Ferrari
that's
in
your-
general for trying to get a 10-second penalty.
Yeah.
Binotto is a kind of a little bitch of a life.
Yeah.
But he likes after dinner drinks, so I have to love him. Imagine, what is it, Matthias? With like a
Yeah.
fucking
Mattia?
Matthias?
Matthias
Oh,
with like
Mattia.
a
It's Mattia.
Mattia
I think so.
Yeah.
with like a tumbler
Mattia.
of Ramazzotti.
Mattia.
Sorry, what?
Ramazzotti.
I had a really bad Amaro the other day, Jeff, that I wish you could have tried.
What's it called?
tasted like mustard.
Yum. You don't like mustard?
And I made so many people at the table taste it that the waiter came over and was like, I can sense you don't like this. I felt really bad, so I drank it all.
So that's the Singapore Grand Prix, folks. Next up is the Japanese Grand Prix. Let me tell you some of the scores where we're at after that race. Max Verstappen in the drivers' championship is in first place with 341 points. Charles Leclerc is in second with 237 points. Not too far behind him, Sergio Perez with 235 points. A little bit further down, George Russell with 203 points. Carlos Sainz right on him with 202 points. And Lewis Hamilton is further back now, 170 points. In the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull's in first place with 576 points. Ferrari is in second place with 439 points. Mercedes is in third with 373 points. And the tightest race right now is for the best of the rest between McLaren in fourth place with 129 points.
Oh, so
and
they just passed
Alpine,
them.
Yeah.
Yes, Alpine has 125 points. So they're past them by 4 points.
Yeah, that's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
So that's what we
love to
have to
see
look
it.
forward to. Can't wait for the next race, which is this Sunday.
Yeah.
1 a.m.
This Saturday
Eastern.
for us.
God, really?
Well, I'm going to be on the East Coast, so I'm going to. I don't know how this is going to work. We'll figure it out.
Not well.
Casey, where are you going?
Oh, I'm visiting some family that I haven't seen since the pandemic started. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the show.
We need to sign off.
Oh, I forget the sign off. It's
Oh yeah. We'll get
okay.
there.
Yeah,
Jeff.
we'll get there, Jeff. Who needs to
It's
eat
the vroom vroom to
vroom
all.
vroom to all, and to all a beep beep.
There it is.
I like it.
Also, we should definitely do plugs at some point.
End it right there.
But-
Without plugs.
Tune in next week to hear the plugs.
That was a Headgum original.